Okay, well, next we're going to have a real honest-to-goodness patriot come up and speak to us, and it's always a pleasure to have him as soon as he hitches his horse to the post over there. North Carolina House Representative Michael Speciale.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? I'm fine. How are you?
Fantastic.
You know, I thought to myself, wonder what the Patriots back in 1787 would think if they were here today. So I thought I'd give it a shot. So just pretend that I'm just a patriot. I'm just a farmer back in 1787 who picked up the rifle, previously fought for the liberty of this country, and now for some reason I'm transported to the year 2015. I think the first thing I would say is I love your conveyances there, how you're able to do that with no horse. I see that this country I see that the new country has flourished over the last couple hundred years, no doubt to our policies in the Constitution of free market and liberty. I'm convinced, after looking around, that the world is a much better place for having America here. I'm hearing things, I'm seeing things, and it does sadden me a little bit. But you know, just as almost 2.5 centuries ago, I still believe that the resilience of the American people will overcome all of our adversaries. I believe that we will overcome all those things that we believe right now are destroying our country. I'm concerned a little bit. Now I'm taking off my hat and I'm putting on my Representative Speciale hat, okay? I am concerned about some things that are going on in this country. Obviously, just about everything coming out of Washington is a matter of concern these days. You know, for all the complaints we had about, who was the Senate leader there that just got his face beat up by his brother? Harry Reid. You know, at least nothing was coming out of there the time he was there. 350 bills piled up on his desk. There's a push nationwide, and this concerns me, for an Article 5 convention. Now, some of you may have your differing opinions on it, but it concerns me a lot. And not only am I opposed to it, but I am actively opposed to it. I am actively fighting it, not just here, but also in the General Assembly. A bill came up 2 years ago, pushing for an Article 5 convention. Michael Ferris came up there. He's the one that wrote the book, Convention of States. He came up and he spoke to the caucus, the Republican caucus up there, which at the time was 77 people. And when and I did not know that he was coming. I did not know that was the purpose of the caucus. And when he was through talking, I looked at the majority leader and I said, no. No, I said, if you're going to let him talk, I said, then I want to give the opposing viewpoint. And so he agreed. And I did, and by the time I was through, all the smiles were gone from those people who were eating up what Michael Ferris was saying, and it became a dead issue. The bill never moved. Nothing happened. But it's important to understand that North Carolina is now a target state for these folks pushing the Convention of States. Who is it pushing the Convention of States? Everybody. Soros, the Koch brothers, the left, the right, everybody's involved in it. Why? The left is pushing it because they think that they will be in charge, that they will carry the influence. The right is pushing it because they think that they will be in charge, and they will carry the influence. For those of you who don't know what it is, Article 5 lays out the parameters for how to hold or how to change the Constitution. One of them is that Congress can propose amendments, propose it to the states, and either through ratification by the legislatures or by presenting it to the people in the individual states, you can ratify it and it becomes a part of the Constitution. Another way is for the states, when they feel that Congress is twisting and contorting the meaning of the Constitution, the states can hold their own or can push for their own constitutional convention or convention of states or whatever half dozen names that they're calling it right now. Every organization's got a different name, so you won't associate them with the other name that everybody else doesn't like, that everybody doesn't like. But if you get 3/4 or 2/3 of the states, I think, I might be wrong there, to agree to it, they can hold a convention. The problem with holding a constitutional convention is that the rules are not made by the states. The rules are made by the convention. Do you remember 1787? We had some great folks who just fought for their liberty, who lived under tyranny. George Washington, Ben Franklin, a whole host of patriots that understood liberty more than anybody living today. They understood it. They fought for it. And they held a convention, and their instructions from their states was to tweak the Articles of Confederation and make it fit the new government. Well, they got in convention and decided that it was going to be more work than it was worth because they basically, it just wasn't designed for this type of government. So they started from scratch of their own volition. And there's nothing that would stop that should we get another Article 5 convention, constitutional convention. And the reality is, once they're in convention, they make their rules, so it doesn't matter. We have got a half a dozen bills, some in the House, some in the Senate, pushing for an Article 5 convention, a convention of states, a balanced budget amendment. There's so many different names on it, and you've got all these factions pushing for this thing. If they ever get in convention, I want to know who's going to control it. They will. My ending words, and I will be speaking this year, I will be speaking on Monday to our Republican caucus in the House. Michael Ferris came back about a week and a half ago and spoke to our caucus. And so I said, okay, I want my time. And so Monday, I will be speaking to our caucus and giving the opposing view. Those that favor this are saying this is precisely why it was put in the Constitution, for times like this when the federal government is twisting and contorting the meanings in the Constitution. And my response to them, that's to Michael Ferris and all the rest of them, is that ship has sailed. They're not twisting and contorting the meaning of the Constitution. They're totally ignoring it. They stopped twisting and contorting years ago. So if you are in a game and the opposing team is not following the rules, how is changing the rules going to make any difference? They're not following the Constitution now. They won't follow it when we change it. Now, it makes sense if what they're doing is twisting and contorting it, like they've done for so many decades. It makes sense to tighten up on it and clarify what this means, what that means. But we're beyond that point. Ask Nancy Pelosi. When she was asked, well, what in the Constitution gives you the authority to pass this health care law? And she said, you're kidding, right? Are you kidding me? That's what she said. That was her response. I asked Walter Jones. Walter Jones, I said, why am I hearing all this banter about the pros and cons of the health care law? This was a few years ago. I said, but the reality is you don't have the authority to pass that. Why am I not hearing that? Why am I not hearing our senators and our representatives say, we simply don't have the authority? He said, Michael, he said, the reality is, he said, that they have ignored the Constitution for so long that we don't even consider it anymore when we submit bills and discuss legislation. That's the reality of what's going on. He was giving an honest answer to a question. And I applaud him for giving me the honest answer. But the honest answer is the worst possible worst of possible answers. But this Constitutional Convention, this Convention of States, this whatever it is they want to call it, is going to open it up. My closing words to my fellow Republicans last time, and they will be the same words I used to close it this time, is I want you to look around to your left and look around to your right. I said, because these are the people, somebody in this room, if this thing passes, will be at that convention. I said, I want you to look around and determine who in here would you hand your liberty to and say, take care of this for me, don't lose it. I said, I love everybody here. I said, but I'm telling you right now, there's not a person in this room that I would trust my liberty with, and that includes myself. We are a key state. We are a focus state. There's a lot of money, a lot of effort being spent to get this through North Carolina this year. It's going to be an uphill battle for me and my associates up there, the folks that are on my team that are against this thing, because in any given case you can always come up with a good argument for either side. But the best argument against it is that George Washington will not be at this convention. Benjamin Franklin will not be at this convention. And if you look around at who will be at it, we have no business even remotely putting ourselves in a position to open up our Constitution for revision. Now, they'll tell you, well, but whatever we come up with, it's got to be ratified by the states. Do you really think that the people would pass something that's not good for this country? And I say, don't tell me what they would do, because they elected Obama 2 times. Okay, so you don't know what the people will do, and that's not denigrating anybody, but that's the reality. What we ended up with, in my opinion, in 1787 was a document that outside of the Bible is probably the most well-written document and hopefully the most endearing document in history. And we cannot allow it to be tinkered with. We cannot allow it to be changed, especially in a situation where it will accomplish absolutely nothing. The Constitution that we have is very clear, it's very plain, and we need to hold our folks accountable. The problem we have in this country is everybody says, those folks in Washington need to go. Oh, they all need to go. Well, except for my representative. And with thinking like that, everybody thinks theirs is fine, everybody else's needs to go. We're at a point, we get to a point sometimes we just need to clean house. This got nothing to do with Walter Jones or our senators or anything else. I'm not one way or another on any of this stuff. I'm just saying it's time to start looking at our country. If you need to clean house and get rid of me, then that's what you need to do, because the country is more important than I am. It's more important than any of the elected officials up there. And if we don't make the change, it's not going to happen. And by the day we continue to lose our rights. I want to say thank you to the CCTA, founded in 2009, had a Tea Party out here, and by the Sun Journal's estimate, there were 1,200 people out here. This is a much smaller group, and that's fine, because the Tea Party and the people that are against what's going on in government, that want us to go back to our roots and those things that made this country great, and for me, that's what the Tea Party is. We want those things that made this country great. God, country, family, free market, all of those things. That's what makes me a conservative. That's what I view conservatism as. And we need to turn this country back around. We need to fight. We need to do whatever it is we need to do. Thomas Jefferson said, let me hear no more about honoring men. Let the chains of the Constitution bind them. And then we need to enforce it. We need to fight for it. God bless you. God bless CCTA. God bless North Carolina and the United States of America. And continue the fight, people. We need your help. Contact your representatives, your senators, and tell them, do not support this Article 5 convention. It's too much of a risk. It's not worth the risk. God bless you.
Good job.
Thank you, Michael. Representative Michael Speciale, always a pleasure to have him. Michael asked me if, before he spoke, if CCTA had taken a position on the Constitutional Convention. And I told him, no, we have not, because our membership is divided, just like many of you out here probably are on that. And we've had a speaker that was con, and we are in the process of scheduling a speaker that is pro coming up in future months. So what we try to do is present both sides and let you make up your mind. We appreciate Michael's remarks this morning. Before I go any further, I do want to tell you a little bit about some of CCTA's activities. We have a legislative action committee that we've made frequent trips to Raleigh. We go to our county commissioners meetings, our school board meetings, and we try to hold them accountable. We have a watchdog committee. Hal James over here, as Uncle Sam, is chairman of that committee, and he does an outstanding job. His wife, Rainer, standing beside him, is chairman of our Legislative Action Committee. And I'm going to tell you, over on this table, you will find 3 petitions that they have prepared. The first one is interposition. It's a petition to the North Carolina General Assembly from the Coast Carolina Taxpayers Association. It says, we, the undersigned, do petition the North Carolina General Assembly to pass a law that asserts it will interpose itself between the people of North Carolina and any attempt at federal overreach regarding the Second Amendment, including an executive order contrary to the Second Amendment. We believe it is duty of the General Assembly to thus protect the people of North Carolina. The second petition is constitutional carry. We, the undersigned, do petition the North Carolina General Assembly to pass a constitutional carry law that codifies the assertions in the United States and North Carolina Constitution and supersedes all previous North Carolina laws infringing on the right of North Carolinians to keep and bear arms. And the third one is a local issue, Craven County Board of Education. We, the undersigned, petition North Carolina General Assembly to pass a law that requires the Board of Education of Craven County to be elected by the voters in the district that they serve, not county-wide. We believe that will make board members responsive to their constituents' wishes regarding such things as getting rid of Common Core and having advanced placement U.S. history reflect the whole truth. For those that don't know, the way the county Board of Education, is elected in the primaries, it's by your district, but in the open election, it's county-wide. Anybody in the county is voting for your school board members. So those are 3 petitions for legislative action that'll be over here on the table. Please take time to sign those before you leave.